Hey everyone, Chris here from Realridesharestories. On this channel we do a lot of different things within the rideshare industry, so if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. But before we get started, if you have a crazy Uber or Lyft experience, whether you're a passenger or a driver, record it, send it my way, and maybe we can feature you on the channel. All right, have you heard of the bill that was passed in the state assembly in California where it states that Uber and Lyft drivers are not considered independent contractors, but will be considered employees of Uber and Lyft? If you haven't, we're going to be going over what that bill is, what it'll mean for drivers, my thoughts, and that will be the video for today. So yes, starting off, if you haven't heard about this or you have but are confused on it, what it is, it's a bill that has started in the State Assembly of California, and it's a bill called AB5, which is essentially a bill that states that Uber and Lyft drivers are not going to be considered independent contractors, but will be considered employees of Uber and Lyft. It is going to state Senate right now, where it will have a vote, more than likely. It could be filibustered out, who knows? I'm not sure how they are going to handle it or their thoughts on it. But yeah, it will be going to the state Senate for a vote, more than likely. And if it passes or fails, well, if it fails, it's kind of just possibly dead in the water, where maybe something new may be introduced down the road. But or it could be passed, which is a possibility, or reworked. There's quite a few things. But if it is passed in the state Senate, it will go to the governor's office. If the governor decides to veto it, then it kind of restarts or changes at that point. But if he signs it and it goes into law, guess what? Drivers of Uber or Lyft will not be considered independent contractors anymore, but will be considered employees of Uber or Lyft. Again, this is in the state of California, but it could have dire consequences, not just in California, but all over the country, especially in certain states where it's very similar to California, like New York, where I live. So I'm going to share my thoughts on this bill in a little bit, but what I'm going to talk about is what it means for drivers of this bill. So if you're in California, you will now be considered an employee. So if you drive for Uber and Lyft, guess what? You won't be able to drive for Uber and Lyft anymore. They are competing businesses. So chances are you will probably only be able to drive for one or the other. They might have a contract not to compete within their bylaws, but who knows? Now, if you if you enjoy the independent contracting due to the flexibility, you won't have that flexibility anymore, meaning you will have shifts. You will go out at certain times and go back at certain times. You won't be able to, not show up or go online for, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, or if it's slow, hey, guess what? That's too bad. You'll be out. You won't have that same flexibility. Again, you won't be able to have the ability to go between platforms if one's slow or the other are waiting for rides and one pops up and turn off the other. You won't have that option anymore. Another thing is the tax deductions. You won't have that. You'll have a flat rate. So if, depending on what it is per hour, that's what you're making per hour. So hey, that's, sometimes you could make $30, $40, $50 an hour. You might not get that with the flat rate. Who knows? Tipping shouldn't be affected by that. Tipping should go straight to you still as a driver. But yeah, if you make more in that hour, then that's going to not be reflected in your pay because you're going to be an hourly wage now. Also, what was I going to say? I'm not editing this, so it's just kind of going off the different things that I was pondering before. But yeah, you won't be able to work for both, as I said. Another thing is that I don't know about is the car situation. One of the big things is we use our cars, and that means our maintenance schedule we have to take care of. And again, as any expense, as an independent contractor, that means you can use that as a tax deduction or a tax write-off for the expenses or per mileage, depending on which is more. So in this case, if you are using your own vehicle, or if you are using your vehicle and it needs maintenance, does that mean it's going to come out of your pocket, or will it be out of Uber and Lyft's pocket? Also, another thing is the mileage. That's a whole different thing too. So when it comes to the actual vehicle of the car, driving for Uber and Lyft, that's one thing. Also, insurance on the vehicle. So these are all questions that will need to be answered within this bill, because it's a lot more in depth than just saying drivers will be considered independent, or instead of independent contractors, they will be considered employees. Also, another thing that you can kind of kiss goodbye are the tax incentives or the tax write-offs due to expenses, because now you'll be considered an employee instead of an independent contractor. You'll have to also accept every ride. So right now you have the ability to accept or deny a ride depending on many factors. Maybe you don't want to go towards that area. Maybe it's in the opposite direction of where you want to go. Maybe they have the passenger has a low passenger rating and you don't want to take that person. Maybe you want to avoid an area, say at night, maybe a certain bar district, because maybe the people get out of hand, or a bar where people just get obliterated drunk and then come in your car and usually cause problems. There's many reasons why you don't want to take rides or cancel on rides or whatnot. And you won't be able to do that anymore. Any ride that comes in, you'll have to take it. What does this mean for passengers? This could be the beginning of the end of Uber and Lyft, because Uber and Lyft will have to raise rates to be able to compensate for this drastic change. Yes, it was more per mileage rate that you were getting, and it has since gone down, and that has caused a lot of drivers to become upset with the system. A lot of people are using this for full-time income, even though it was never designed for being full-time. It was mostly designed for, something extra or even in between jobs. And I always say that you want to make sure that you have other options available while you're driving for Uber and Lyft. I only drive part-time for Uber and Lyft, so I think it's a fantastic way to make extra money. It's a cool way to meet a lot of different people, have fun, enjoy. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy the independent aspect side of it. I don't like the employee side. So my thoughts on this are, I don't like it. I think this bill is irresponsible, and the people who introduced this bill and voted yes on this bill do not understand everything when it comes to driving or when it comes to Uber and Lyft itself. So I am not in favor of this bill at all. And the one thing that I am is I like being an independent contractor for the flexibility, because I have many things going on. I make videos, so I do a lot of editing for this channel. I have a podcast that's coming out very soon. I have another YouTube channel that I'm going to be starting very soon. I own a tea shop, actually. I do a lot of different things. I also rep a travel club. There's a lot of different things that I do that take up my time that I do on a business side. Then on top of that, I enjoy spending time with my family. I enjoy spending time with friends and doing different things. So when you have the option of not being a independent contractor, or doing this on the time that I have available to me to be able to do this, and it becomes an employer relationship, I won't be able to continue. I don't want to. I like the flexibility. I love the fact that I can go between platforms, that I can go on or off whenever I choose. The fact that I can accept or deny rides. If you hear that lawnmower that just went on, sorry, it's really hot, so I have to have the windows down right now. So this sun's baking on the car. But yeah, I like these. I like the ability that I can use my pay as tax deductions, that I can use it for other things. You know, it's a great concept in a great way, and I like it the way it is. I do like the fact that, hey, maybe we could get better wages by trying to stand together. But you know what? I don't want to be an employee. I don't want to unionize. I don't want any of that stuff. I'm not in favor of that. And again, this bill is introduced without probably full knowledge of Uber and Lyft. They're just going off of what they saw on the strikes, on the news and things like that, where they don't take into account the full effect. So here's what you can do. If you aren't in favor of this, and if you think that it's a problem, you can call the assembly, the state assembly in California. So if anything ever happens where it's not passed in the state Senate, you know, it might change some minds. So you can call the state assembly in California. You can call the state Senate in California. You can call the governor in the state of California, as well as email, Twitter, all these things where you can reach out to them. If you don't want to see this bill passed, whether you're in California or in the United States, you can contact them and voice your opposition. That's what I'm going to do. I'm also in the state of New York. So New York tends to do a lot of things that California tends to adopt or put into law. So yeah, I don't like that. I don't want that in my state. I don't want that in my area. I enjoy the independent contracting side. I enjoy doing it part-time. But yeah, I will definitely be getting in contact with the offices of the senators and the assembly of the state of California, as well as the governor's office, and voicing my opposition. So if you don't like it, voice your opposition as well. And again, if you're outside California, it could become an issue in your state if somebody so chooses to decide to draw up that type of legislation. You know, take into account all the different effects it might have on you if you're an independent contractor versus an employee. One last few things or a couple last things to think about with that. When you're an employee, you know, you have the ability to be fired for many different things and not continue your job. So false reports can be a major issue coming up very soon, where one false report it might deactivate you right now currently for a certain amount of time. It could deactivate you permanently, yes, but it's very possible that any false report might be held against you and permanently fire you. Another thing, like I said, you can't choose to accept or deny rides anymore. Whatever comes to you, you'll have to probably take, which means if you don't have a good enough excuse for not taking that ride, you probably will be fired. There's a lot of things about that could cause major issues. So here's the thing. I think independent contracting is the right way to go. Let me know what your thoughts are, though, down below in the comments section. And then also, if you are in the state of California, what's your thoughts? And then what do you think, considering it's right at your doorstep of the possibility of becoming an employee of Uber or Lyft versus being an independent contractor and enjoying kind of the luxuries, and I say that term loosely, but the abilities, we'll say, of an independent contractor versus an employee. So comment below, let me know. Also, if you decide to voice your opinion to either the Senate, the Assembly, or the governor's office in California opposing this legislation, comment below, let me know. That's it for today's video. If you guys have any other questions, comment below as well. Can get them answered. But a lot of the knowledge is just that the bill has passed. But what it means for drivers, you know, like I said, comment below. I can answer anything that I think might happen. But give this video a thumbs up. Also, ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded. As always, never drink and drive. Always tip your drivers, and we'll see you next time.